Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. There is something I want us to look at, and it is keenly about Uhuru's grip in the East African community. Just today, I received some interesting call from one of our viewers from Uganda. And it's a Kenyan who stays there who's telling me that, Kevin, I have been seeing the fourth president in Uganda for the better part of this week, telling me that, Kevin, Uhuru Kenyatta loves Uganda. In fact, he's telling me that where he works in a hotel where he works, Uhuru frequents going there. And this is, according to me, that's where whenever Uhuru goes to Uganda, that is where Uhuru spends. So he's telling me that, number one, it's a place that is inhabited by most people that work there are people from Kenya. And whenever, telling me in a month, Uhuru hawezi kosa kwenda Uganda kama mara tatu. Now, just that aside, this has brought me to Uhuru's grip. I wanted to look at this video because there's two meetings that are very critical. On Monday, when the swearing in of last week, during the swearing in of Tshisekedi, Uhuru Kenyatta arrived in DR Congo in Ugandan Airlines. And this is the photo. And when he arrived, questions were asked. People were asking, why is it that he's not using the local Kenya Airways? Or another question on why he did not use the usual military aircrafts that he's normally entitled to, that is also at his disposal. And of course, we could not get answers to those questions. Then we saw them then at that swearing in. So, I wanted to watch a snippet, this short video. It has been done by them. It is done by former President Uhuru Kenyatta's secretariat about his last mission when he was there. They wanted to watch this. That is a snippet of Uhuru's journey from then to Uganda. Now, there are two videos, there are two photos in that video. Number one is this video. After that inauguration, Uhuru Kenyatta met with Tshisekedi in his private residence. Private residence. This one happened despite the fact that there were also President William Ruto was also there. After that inauguration, went straight to the airport, came back into the country. Uhuru remained and held that private meeting. Then, after that, on his way back, remember he was using Ugandan airline, he dropped to Uganda. And these photos with Museveni were shared. But one that has struck me is this one here. He was received by Museveni, First Lady, Ugandan First Lady, Janet. And this is a photo. You know, you can, if you look at that hug, you try to see if Uhuru Kenyatta seems to have gotten a home. You know, ni picha ya inakaa ni kama mtu ambaye yani amepata nyumbani, is an easy. I wanted to just a quick one. When Uhuru Kenyatta in this country since after leaving power, have you ever seen such? You know, but the kind of reprieve, yani ni mtu ambaye amepata nyumbani. It's like he has a second home in Uganda. Since Uhuru leaving power, it has been pressure after one, blames, left, right, and center. But that photo speaks volumes. He was received by, and of course it's by the Ugandan First Lady, and it's also proving what we say, that he was using Ugandan airline, and he had picked the aeroplane, the chartered plane from DRC Kinshasa to Uganda. Then went through to State House, the Ugandan State House, and spent time there. Remember when also he was in DR Congo, he also met Alupo, who is the Ugandan VC, Vice President. Alupo was with him in DR Congo. And so those two meetings are related. He met Tshisekedi in his private residence. Then also on his way back in the country, he also met Museveni in his, and if you see the way he's received, being received by the First Lady. I want you to flip it back in this country. How about if a former president arrives in this country and at the airport he is received by Mama Rachel? What do you think? It's actually a private affair. It's a family. It's close to Ruto, Uhuru, and them as a family. I know very well that yes, Uhuru is has a very close relationship with Museveni's family. Museveni's son, who is believed to be the person eyeing a presidential seat in 2026 in Uganda, is Uhuru Kenyatta's best friend. But to me, that embrace points out to a man that has found some solace outside the country. Now, in this video, I want to explain for you something, just in respect to these two meetings, because they're critically important. I know very well that, yes, Uhuru Kenyatta is the facilitator of peace in the region, East African Community of Peace. But it's also not true that it's not guaranteed that those two meetings were in his capacity. Because I understand it's the capacity as peace facilitator, because I understand it is not really guaranteed that there is no peace process going on in Uganda. The only peace process going on is in DR Congo. But he's enduring to the East African community. That is one thing you cannot take away from him. Even if you check 2023, when the report emerged that Samia Suluhu came into the country, what the media reports came out was that Suluhu pushed to come and mediate between Raila and Ruto. Then that meeting had the blessings of Uhuru Kenyatta. So in the region, silently in the back room, while William Ruto is the president, but he seems to be the man with a lot of say in this other end, especially in the East African community. Many times we've seen a lot of things, and so this is why I want to explain this podcast why Uhuru Kenyatta has a grip of the region even after leaving power. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. Thank you very much for those who are supporting us, those who support our channel, subscribe. Oh, I've just realized we arrived at 60,000 last week. I didn't mention. I want to say thank you. 60,000. I believe by the end of this year we will be at 100. It's possible. Now, if you are using Busia Kisumu route, then you must pass through Luanda. In Luanda, I want to introduce to you one of the beautiful hotel restaurants there known as Fat Baby. So to ask you to get there, sample their food. They have amazing menu there. You can sample, you can take a drink, and even if you look at the internal decor, then this is a place that you really love to be in the serene Luanda. It's not very far. It's just across the road. Ukifika Luanda town hapo. You know the Luanda town is a center. As along the road, hata utaingia ndani opposite hapo mahali wanapaki hizi magari, somewhere there. Ask where there is Fat Baby. And when you get to Fat Baby, sample their food, and also let's support the hustle of other members of this channel. I have 4 reasons why I am seeing Uhuru Kenyatta still having a very strong grip in the region even after he left power. Number 1, you cannot underestimate the fact that number 1, Uhuru Kenyatta is the immediate CDF. Not CDF, immediate Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces. So his clout in the region as a former president, you cannot underrate that. But I'm seeing Ruto's diplomatic blunders, especially on the regional commercial interest, is giving our neighbors a thought of, we need to think about Uhuru and the rest. You know why? Look at what's happening between Uganda and Kenya. Uganda is one of our greatest trading partner. Most of Ugandan imports pass through Kenya. And while at some point, under a guise of protecting local milk industry, we actually banned milk products coming from Uganda into this country, under the guise of protecting the milk sector. And there is not much of that effect, even though there was a bit of that revenge You know, there's a bit of William Ruto's revenge mission against Uhuru Kenyatta. So the decision to ban Kenyan milk from coming this end, the decision to ban milk products from Uganda coming to the country was arrived purely on malice. And this has shown a bit of some insensitivity. This diplomatic flaws on the commercial interests is also giving impetus. But there is something about President Ruto that has been projecting. William Ruto, for better part of 2023, was projecting a Western Mr. Nice, the European Mr. Nice, a man who was pursuing the Western agenda. And I want to explain this. If you look at opening our markets, the issues of LGBTQ, which Uganda was against. If you look at the ETA, the deal that was recently signed by the German and the team, that he jumped, even he left other East African community countries to sign that. That signing was done, and I remember the ETA deal that was signed. He actually left the other East African community countries to sign it, and was perceived as a man who is pursuing the Western aspect. Now, what is actually happening here is bit of his foreign policy on bit of a dependence on the British institutions, IMF, the World Bank, and the Europe and the Western aspect, the Western dalliance that William Ruto has been putting, seems to be setting it apart with other East African countries, especially Uganda. Now, what Uganda will then do is to embrace a man that he believes is his enemy. Yes, and is simply trying to show that even if you don't like Uhuru Kenyatta, but Uhuru Kenyatta is a man, and remember he was given Ugandan Airlines, chartered plane. No one knows even if that bill was footed by the Ugandan government. So that is also one thing that is happening. Number three, Uhuru Kenyatta's stellar performance in holding the East African community. Remember, at the time he was leaving, he was the chair of the East African community. And there's some two takeaways you can see. During the establishment of the Naivasha port, he gave land for Uganda to establish a dry port. You know, you can't take that away. And even in that equal measure, even now, Rwanda is also coming to establish a port there, which the land had also been given by the former president Uhuru Kenyatta. This, you remember that story came of Rwanda to establish a port in Naivasha. The story of Rwanda establishing a port in Naivasha did not just come now. That land had been given. Remember, at that time, William Ruto and the team was spreading a lot of rumors and propaganda that that port was built on Uhuru Kenyatta's private property. So his teleperformance as East African community made him get that network. Number three, I think Ruto's clear alignment with some rebels in Congo is really causing jitters. Do you remember that Congo, is it River Nile alliance that was formed here, that was launched here in Nairobi in Serena? And they later say that they didn't have the intelligence of that and they had the freedom. But you see, that already showed very well that Shekedi had, you know, red-carded Kenya, that if Ruto is working the enemy, and it's working against the spirit of peace process that Uhuru Kenyatta is leading. Because we hosted those fellows here. Well, Uhuru Kenyatta is leading peace process in the same country and supposed to reconcile the M23 and they're the civilians. So that is also giving Uhuru Kenyatta some impetus. And lastly, I think Uhuru is just getting himself easy and a better place in Uganda due to these hostilities that is going on. Some quarters still believe and they still say that the decision even to stop using, and he stopped using Ugandan, the Kenya KQ and the military in this Kenyan aircraft space, was really a high intel. And I believe that his grip in East African community is very strong based on some of these for reasons. You can also share with me, guys, and thank you very much for watching.